Hey y'all, how are y'all doing today? How are y'all doing? Okay, I think we're good. Yay! Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. So I hope y'all are doing good. Y'all can go ahead and just start asking all your questions. I'm gonna go through my little spiel first, just because I'm supposed to. Okay. All right, so my statements are personal opinions, not proven facts. Whatever decisions or actions you make in your life after connecting with me, that's all on you. You're fully responsible for yourselves. So you're fully responsible and liable for those choices and decisions. Your future is changeable. You make different choices and decisions and go in another direction. So you can totally do that. I'm not a licensed medical doctor, counselor, attorney, or law enforcement official. For legal medical advice or treatment, please consult a licensed professional. You can still ask me those kinds of questions, y'all, but you should always consult with a professional. Go to a professional first before you go to a psychic. If you receive guidance or information that you can validate, please share your story in the follow-up post so others can learn from your experience. If you appreciate these free lives, then give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Hearts, and send or tag someone who might need some help or a reading as well. So whoever you think might actually need a reading or needs to connect with someone, just like shoot them, tag them so that way they know that these are available to them for free as well. If you don't want to wait and would like to try an e-reading or book a session with me, then just go to my website, fernandomarron.com, which you can get there from my profile. What else? Or just go to fernandomarron.com. and make sure you're signed up to my newsletter, because I send out a weekly email recap and all the free goodies I put out that week so that you can catch up on what I put out, all the content, all the greatness, all the love. Okay. All right. So now that I got that out of the way, because I'm supposed to. Okay. So if you are asking me about your life, you can ask me about anything. You can ask me about your health and wellness, your finances, your career and work and relationships, but your questions need to be specific, which means ask me about a specific situation or a specific thing you want to know. Don't just ask me, tell me about my career, or tell me about my health, or, what do you see, or read me. That's all a waste of time, a waste of your effort. You just need to ask the question. And be specific. If you are, I can't read your mind, so don't assume that I know everything that's going on. Psychics don't see everything. We don't know everything. We sense things. There's a big difference there. So learn to tell the difference. Also, if you want me to connect with a loved one in spirit, let me know who you want me to connect with, and I'll try to connect to that person and bring through any messages of love and healing, or validation. I don't see them. I don't hear them. They communicate through a form of telepathy, and they have to trigger my thoughts, my emotions, and my memories, and I've got to figure out where they're going with that. If you are on YouTube and Facebook, you can totally, you're going to probably get hit up by some spammers or spammers or trolls. So they'll be like messaging you or trying to tell you to private message them. They'll have the craziest names sometimes. Sometimes they may have normal names, but most of the times they have like names that I can't even pronounce. But if they message you or they post something to you on YouTube or on Facebook, it's a spammer. They're trying to take your money. They're going to ask you to private message them. Doesn't matter what the name is. And some of them have been using my name, Fernando. It's not me. I'm literally right here talking to you. I'm not typing away trying to message you at the same time. So that's not me. None of my people will message you in the chat room. So if you see that happen, please report that person as a spammer and then block them so the system can pick it up and then block them. If you're on Instagram, you can come on and be a video guest with me. There's a little thing right down there, 2 little people. If you click that, you'll be able to request to be a guest, and I'll bring some of you on halfway through our live today. So, okay. All right. So let me get started here. So I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just going to, bounce around. So I'm not going to answer everybody's questions because it's just not going to happen. But just FYI, so y'all know. This is a perfect example of what I said not to do. Are my situations ever going to change? The hell are you talking about, fool? what the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I can't read your thoughts, sweetheart. So I'm gonna need you to like be specific and ask me about a specific situation, because a situation could be, are my herpes gonna go away, or am I gonna stop smelling when I sweat, or am I gonna win the lottery? Like, what situations are you talking about? So that's what I said not to do. So just so y'all know how I operate. I know some of you are like, Ferny, you're so rude. I ain't rude. I'm just trying to like get you lined up, because I don't have time to waste on stuff that don't make no sense. Okay, so let's go over here. Normita MP. Hello and good evening, Ferny. My brother passed away 18 years ago. Does he have any messages? Yeah, a couple of things. One is, first of all, he is apologizing. Because he's making me thank you. There's a couple of things I feel like he wants to apologize. One is he is pointing to himself. So typically, whenever someone does that, it means that they may have contributed, or they could have contributed to their own passing, or they may have brought about their own demise. So he's doing that. So somehow he may have contributed to his own passing, but he also is apologizing because of having to leave you dealing with the parents, or having to leave you dealing with the family situation. So he's almost apologizing for putting you in that position and having to deal with the family as well. He also talks about, he's bringing up a name. There's like a John or a Johnny or a John J-O name. He's bringing that up, so there's a connection there. So either he's referencing himself, someone with him, or someone here he wants to say hello to. He also keeps talking about money, or some sort of like an exchange or trade or a financial agreement that may be connected to the same individual. So there's something there that he's also trying to bring up attention to. He also keeps showing me what looks like, I feel like it's some sort of ornamental thing that might have a horse or some sort of a racing like theme to it. Because I feel like there's an ornamental thing that may be connected to him that he's wanting to acknowledge or reference as well. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you. He's trying to give me another name. God, he's giving me a bunch of names. 5. PH, so it starts off with PH. It's got a sound or a spelling like Phil or Philip, but I don't know if it's a male's name, but it's got a sounding name to it as well. So he's trying to give me that name also, which is a reference as well. And also the first, either he's the firstborn or he's acknowledging the first of a month or January. Okay. Jenny Geranix. Hi, Ferny. Do you see us buying a house or building for our next home? I feel... both, actually. So I actually think there's going to be 2 properties within a 16-month period. So I actually think that you will be purchasing both. I think you'll purchase, you'll be buying a home, or you'll be buying a house, I'm sorry. Yeah, you'll be buying, for our next home. You'll be buying a house. That's weird, because I see 2 properties, 2 buildings. It's one of two. It's either one of 2 things. Is the way I'm going to describe it. Either y'all are going to buy 2 properties within a 16-month period, and these are going to be 2 separate things. One will be used for one thing. The other one will be used for something else, like an investment property. Or you're going to get a property within 16 months, or at 16 months that has a house, and then a structure attached to it, or like a garage or something like that. That's kind of like a different type of building. It's not like a traditional garage. This is like a different type, like a body shop type thing. It's either one or the other. It's either you're buying a property with a building attached to it, or you're buying both of these within a 16-month period. But that's the way that I'm seeing it. But I want to say both. Michelle Lee Briggs, do I have any messages for my mom? I could really use some guidance. Yes. So first of all, she is wanting you to like stop stressing yourself out, because it's almost like you're like making yourself sick. And it's really interesting because the way she makes me feel about this is like when you're on a swing, you're swinging back and forth between options. It's almost like stop swinging. So even though you may think you have to make a choice or you have to make a decision, you might be able to actually be patient or just wait a little bit, because the choice may be made for you. It's how I'm being made to feel. But that's the way she's like, stop stressing out. Like, stop stressing yourself out because you're going to make yourself sick. She also keeps acknowledging the number 11, which is November. So either the month of November is connected or the 11th of a month is significant, but she's acknowledging that number. She also keeps talking about thank you. She's showing me this. So there might be 2 necklaces or two things that are necklace related that may be connected to her as well. She's also showing me a star. So there might be a star reference or a star association to that also. She also keeps acknowledging a picture. I don't know if she used to be a photographer or you have been a photographer, or there's a very artistic, like professional photography type of picture. It's when I say professional photography, like I'm not talking about like going to like a regular like family photographer to take pictures next to each other. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is very like picturesque, very intentional like appearance of the way something looks in picture. So it's almost artistic in nature. So there's something there that she's making reference to as well. She also talks about thank you. I don't know what that means either. Also, there's something about a bathtub. I don't know where she's going with this. Bathtubs can mean a lot of different things. Either there's a connection with her in a bathtub, or she's talking about a special bathtub. It doesn't make any sense to me. You remember? You may not remember because you may not be that old, but the old tubs that they used to use where they're just freestanding tubs like in the middle of a room, or the tubs that they used to use when, you know, back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, like those old like tubs. I'm seeing that. So she's showing me something there. So either, I don't know if you have your mother's bathtub or you're doing work on your tub and she's aware of that, or there's something specific about a bathtub. I know it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me either, but I'm hoping that you may figure it out or you understand. Also, the 6th is also connected. So the 6th of a month or June is also significant. Okay. Let's go here. Be right here waiting from you. Linda Durgalo Williams, message from hubby Ron. So immediately, thank you. It's funny because I heard Sweet 16. I don't know if the 16th of a month is significant or January 6th is significant, but I heard Sweet 16. Either that or somebody's celebrating their Sweet 16 and he's bringing attention to that. But there's a reference there because he's acknowledging that. He also keeps thank you. He also keeps acknowledging his collection of, it might be a collection of old DVDs or old tapes, but he's acknowledging a collection and almost like, I feel like I want to put these in a box, but then I'm like still putting some out. There's something there that he's making a reference to. He also keeps talking about a little like plush thing. It reminds me of a little like pillow or stuffed animal that's either like a SpongeBob or like a yellow monkey or some sort of a monkey, because I'm seeing that as well. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you. He's also talking about a picture of him where he's wearing either a top hat or he's got a special hat, because he's acknowledging that as well. So there's a reference to an image of him dressed like this. He also keeps thank you. He also keeps acknowledging, he's funny. He's a little bit like goofy, like in a fun way. He's like, I'm going to suck your blood. And he's like pretending to be like a vampire. So he's kind of funny. Birds are a connection to him. So you might experience birds, doves, white birds, etc. Red birds might be connected, but I'm seeing in my head white birds. So I'm thinking that's what he's referencing there as well. There's a child or a baby in spirit with him. So someone may have miscarried, lost, or terminated, but he's referencing a baby in spirit with him as well. Okay. Cassie Williams, hi Ferny, do you see me having any more children in my future? 2 more. So I think you might end up with 2 more within 3 to 4 years. Let's go over here. Zaray, hey Ferny, when do you see me going back to the US? In 6 months. So I feel like in 6 months. It might be 6 weeks, but I'm thinking it's 6 months because I saw 6. So I'm assuming it's 6 months. Aaron White. Hello, Ferny. Do any of my spirit guides have any messages for me? I've been seeing 111, 111, and 555. Thank you. The only message that they have for you, is your spirit guides, is that you may need to reconsider, or you may need to put more energy and effort into a potential venture or business. So there might be an opportunity for you to get more involved with either a small business or some sort of business collaboration. And they're making reference to this. So you might have a decision, or you may have to make a choice around this. by next summer. But there may be an opportunity there. That doesn't mean you have to like stop what you're doing full time and then focus on the business. It just means that there's an opportunity there. So you might need to consider that and have a little bit more faith. H Reyes 0521. I would like to connect to my uncle Betan. So immediately he's acknowledging you the 17th. So the 17th of a month might be connected, or January 7th might be significant because he's bringing me that number. He's also acknowledging thank you. I see a watch or a clock. Like I almost see a clock doing this, like it's going back and forth. So there may be a significance to either a watch, a clock, or there's something about like taking a, it's weird because it almost reminds me of like, when a pendant is doing this, but I feel like it's a clock or it's a time. So there's something there that he's making reference to. He also keeps acknowledging thank you. He is pressing on my throat and he's actually making this feel a little bit weird. So there might have been some issues going on either with his digestion or with this area kind of going down the throat because he's making me feel this way. He also keeps acknowledging thank you. That there is a reference. I don't know if you have a cartoon, it's gonna sound weird, a cartoon version of him, or there's a picture of someone drawing, or a picture of him or someone drawing him where it's like him as a cartoon, or like I want to say cartoon because it feels like it's sketch or it's drawn, but there's a reference, either that or you sketch and draw, and he's bringing attention to that. He also keeps acknowledging thank you. He wants to reference your mother or say hello or acknowledge your mom. So he's bringing up your mother or acknowledging her. If they were close or whatnot, he may just be trying to say hello. He also keeps repeating his name. So he may not be the only person in the family that has a connection to that name. Okay. He also says that he tried to get your attention, and he might have been the man that you saw in the middle of the night or the shadow that you saw. So not to be scared. He was just trying to say hello. Impala me. Hi, Ferny. Will I move out of my in-laws soon? Yeah, actually, January. So I think by January you'll be moving out. Because I was going to say 2 months, which would be about January. 3 weeks, she sleeps. Do you see me eventually being able to run a spiritual business? What should my focus be? It will actually be a combination of things. It will have more to do with products that are sustainably produced and also beneficial for like health and wellness. So that's one aspect of the business that I see. I also see a coaching business like applied to that as well. So I see two things kind of going in there. The traditional spiritual business, like having a medical physical store or something like that, I'm not saying anything like that. This for me is more where it's like locally sourced or sourced products that have like they're just a little Ferny get it together. They're sustainable, but I feel like it has more to do with health and wellness. So there's like a lot of handmade stuff. You know what I'm reminded of, and you may know what I'm talking about. I'm reminded of Schitt's Creek. I don't know if you've ever seen Schitt's Creek, but there's David on Schitt's Creek. He has his own like shop or store, and he basically got together with like local vendors who produce quality, locally sourced products, and then they produce stuff, and he sells it under his label. But they're not stuff that he makes; they're just sourced by these individuals. So I'm reminded of that. But then I also want to add like coaching and teaching into that as well, and also physical activity. It may not be Reiki, but it may have something to do with like a physical activity of healing and energy amplification. Okay. It might take about 7 months to kind of get that rolling. Angelica Halfin. Hello, Ferny. Any messages from my son, Harrison? Yeah, so I feel like I'm driving really fast in a vehicle or in a car, or I feel like I'm like trying to race, or I feel like I'm trying to like move very quickly. So I don't know if that's connected to his passing, or he just simply was really into racing cars and that was his thing, but he's like making that gesture there. So he's referencing that. He also keeps acknowledging thank you. Okay, he brought up the name Donald. Now, I don't really know where to go with that. For me, Donald represents like, Donald Duck, or the name Don or Donnie, Donald Trump, but there's like references to that. So I feel like he's trying to acknowledge that name for some reason. So he's bringing that up. He's also he's doing this. Whenever I see someone do this, it usually means Two hands coming together means either putting the issues aside, putting the issues aside, making peace with, or reconnecting with. If this is someone in spirit that he's trying to acknowledge, it may just be his way of saying he's reconnected with, or there's peace between him and the Donald or the Don name. But there's some reference there because he's acknowledging either that or he's trying to tell you what to do and you need to make peace with. But he's referencing that. He also keeps acknowledging thank you. He's also bringing up Georgia or George. So the name George or the state of Georgia may be significant or connected as well. He also keeps thank you. He also keeps acknowledging, he's showing me what looks like artwork or a collage. So I don't know if you put together a collage or there's like pieces that are like very like specifically displayed that he's trying to make reference to. And there might be some sort of a, when someone, okay, so like I know sometimes when it's like a child, like a baby or like an animal, sometimes there's handprints or there's like feet prints. But I'm not feeling that way about this, but I'm seeing something that reminds me of like a handprint or like where there's like 4 or 5 things that like go out, unless it's like a plant, but there's something there. But there's a reference that he's trying to acknowledge or he's making reference to. He also rings bells or he set off alarms. So you might have had an encounter with him recently with that, okay? I know this much is true. Yvette Perret Photography. I hope I said that right. Hi, Ferny. Thanks for what you do. Wondering if my dad has any messages or sent us signs. Yes. Coins. Y'all may find coins in random places. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you, rainbows in the sky. So y'all might have an experience with rainbows in the skies or the images of like sunsets or just sunsets and thinking of him because he's acknowledging that. He also keeps referencing, I keep seeing this vehicle. I don't know if it's like a blue truck or a blue like car, but it almost feels like an old model or it may even be a classic, but there's a connection to that because he's bringing that up. He also keeps talking about, thank you. I don't know if y'all have relocated or moved since his passing or the property has already been like, things are going on with that, but he's bringing that up, so he's acknowledging that as well. He also talks about 2, so either there's 2 things attached to that, either that's going to be dealt with in 2 ways, or the number 2, like February or the 2nd of a month, is also connected as well. Okay. Natalie Burialt 91. Will my friend have a baby in the near future? 7 months. I think in about 7 months there's baby energy around her. So either she'll be pregnant in 7 months, she may be celebrating her baby shower in 7 months, or she might be having a baby in 7 months, which is probably not going to happen because it's 7 months. So I'm thinking it's going to be like getting pregnant or getting pregnant. Yeah, I think it's getting pregnant around that time. Beth Rods. Hi, Ferny. Did my grandfather feel sorry for what he did to our family before he died? He passed 1 month ago. Thank you and blessings. Yeah. So let me see if you're on here. I know this. If you're on here, I might bring you on because I kind of want to address this in different ways. The answer is yes. So if you aren't on here, yeah, you're not on here. Requesting to be on. That's okay. The answer is yes. However, the way he's making me feel is he's doing this, which means he wasn't well in his head or he wasn't all okay up there, and his behavior or his actions were due to issues up here. So even though some people may say, well, that's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, but y'all need to know that there were some issues going on up here in his mind or in his brain that contributed to the circumstances. He also talks about a split or people like not talking to each other anymore. So I don't know if there are already people in the family who are just not communicating with each other, but he's acknowledging like that being part of the process as well. Also, the number 5 is connected, which would either be the month of May or the 5th of a month. Okay. Brenda 2788. Will I be staying long-term in my current love relationship, and will I be having any more children? I I think you might have one more child. And as far as I'll be staying long term in my current love relationship, I'm seeing 2.5. So for me, that's 2.5 years. So you might be in the relationship for 2.5 years, 2.5 more years. And then after that, there may be a change. I'm not thinking long-term future forever. I'm thinking just like 2.5 years or 2.5. And then that's it. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Betty. Ferny, can you tell me what's going on with my health, if anything, thanks. I was already thinking about it, that's why, so I had to pick you, because I was like, I'm already thinking about it, so I need to, like, read it. What is that? Let me look up the anatomy real quick, because I want to see what this is. Just a system. Okay, so a couple things here. One is there's a few things that I think you're going to have to pay attention to. I definitely want to go to the digestive system. I think you need to pay attention to the liver and the pancreas, because I feel like both of those, something feels a little bit off with the digestive system. I also feel that there's a little bit of a increase in certain components within your cell, like within your blood, where it's almost like when someone's like cell count is off, or something's off with a certain type of cell, and there's an increase in that, and because of that it's not getting filtered out, or something's not happening, and then the liver and also the pancreas may be a part of that as well. So I think there's going to be 2 or 3 separate tests that you might have to get to figure out what's going on there, but I think it has to do with your digestive system and your body no longer being able to process certain things, and it's seeing an accumulation of that in your system. So you may need to go to a doctor. I wouldn't just put it off. I would actually go to the doctor and get some blood work done, because I think you need to go check your blood. Okay. Okay, let's go here. Go back over here. People don't know this, but I used to, the way that I learned how to, actually, let me get my book so I can show you. So a lot of people, I know, like, I just like grabbing this because I want to show y'all. So like back when I was trying to train myself, so like a lot of times people were like, how do you know that specific piece of information? It's not because it popped into my head, it's because I learned to identify or to understand things. And so I heard a story once, back in the day, I heard a story where this medium, he always got people's names right, but that was pretty much all he could do. He couldn't really do anything else besides just get their names right. And he could even tell you what address the spirit lived at before they died. Now, the reason why he could was because he actually had a full-time job as a mail clerk. So he actually worked for the Postal Service before he went on to do mediumship. And so the reason why he could give people names and addresses is because that's literally all he saw all day. So all of those pieces of information were stored in his mind. And so when a spirit would connect, it would pull at something that he would be able to reference, which that would come easily for him because that's what, you know. So the fact that I can get names at all for me is like a talent unto itself, because I don't remember anybody's name. I used to be awful at this, especially at Starbucks. I could never remember people's names. So I just say, hey, you, like I already know what their name is, but I'm just saying, hey, you know, but I would never remember people's names. But so that I could remember stuff, what I used to do. And for some of you may not know, you may not care. You're like, what are you doing, Ferny? Like what I used to do is I made this book called The Handbook for the Recently Deceased. You see that from Beetlejuice? Remember Beetlejuice? Yeah. So I made myself a binder, and then I had all of like the human anatomy. So I had like everything. Like I've even got like the penis and the reproductive system and the human eye anatomy. And I used to go, so whenever I would do a reading, I would start like, okay, let's start with health and wellness. And then I'd open this up, and then I just start going through. And if I felt pulled or like aligned to something, I would stick with it. And then I would let my mind kind of like sift through that. And so that's how I started to tune in to details with like, you know, stuff like that. Also with like places in the world, and like, you know, like, oh, you're going to go take a trip to wherever. I had maps that I made myself. So I would be like, are you going here? Are you going here? No. And like, I would like go through. So I busted my ass like using an actual method and a process for how I used to remember stuff and how stuff is like stored in my memory. But people don't realize that I like went through that whole song and dance just training myself because it's not like no one taught me how to do that. I had to teach myself how to do that. So just a little bit of a FYI for y'all, for those of you who are like, how do you know that it's got to do with that part of the body? Because that's the part that I'm remembering. That's why. Let's see. Amy Marie Graham. I recently had my son-in-law Blake pass away 2 months ago tomorrow. Can you tell me if he is near my daughter and our family? The answer is yes. He is definitely with them. He is pointing to himself, so he's making me feel like he either contributed to his own passing or he may have actually taken his own life, but he's pointing to himself. But he's okay. He's surrounded by family members. He keeps showing me a black shirt. So I don't know if there's a very prominent picture with him with a black shirt on, or you have his black shirt, but there's a reference to a black shirt. He also keeps acknowledging thank you. I don't know if he had a journal or he had ever done writing or creative writing, but he's showing me something that I feel like is written. So there's like writing here as well. Either that or there's something that you just did that has to do with like posting a quote or a poem for him, because he's acknowledging that as well. He's showing me balloons. So that means that either we're within 30 days of a birthday, or there might be, y'all may have released balloons for him, or this may have happened around his birthday, but he's referencing that as well. He also, thank you. He's trying to give me a name. Not Sylvia. It might be. It's like, I want to say it's like Sylvia or Selena or Sandra. It's got like a short S name, maybe ends with an A. So S and then A, and it's like Sandra. There's a name he's trying to give me that he's trying to acknowledge. So I'm assuming that's someone that may be there as well, because he's acknowledging that. He also keeps referencing thank you. He touched your hair, and he may have actually like caressed your hair or touched your hair, and you might have been like in the middle of doing something, and you definitely may have noticed it because he's doing this. He also keeps acknowledging the 4th of July, so either the 4th of a month is significant or July is significant, because he's bringing that up as well. Okay, all right, so let's go over here and bring somebody on. Let's see who wants to come on. And those of you who are like, Ferny, you look tired. I am tired. Like, let me be tired, y'all. It's like worth the effort to do the work that I do. So it's okay. I'm allowed to be tired. I don't have to be like, bright-eyed every time. Let's go to Kelly here. See if I can pick her for some reason. There it is. Requests. There it goes. Let's see, Kelly. Oh, let me fix this, because if she pops on, I don't want to be. Hello.
How are you
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What did you want to ask me?
I was just wondering if my grandma has anything to say to me and my family.
Yeah. So the first thing she's doing, she's showing me something that I feel like I'm seeing something wrapped around my neck. Do you know if there's some sort of collar? It doesn't feel like a traditional necklace. It feels like something that goes on a collar or something that goes around the neck that might be fabric. Do you know if there's anything like that that's connected to her?
No, I don't.
Okay. So here's the reason why. So whenever someone's like a valedictorian, or when they're, they have that's what I'm reminded of. So
okay.
There's something there. So either there's something like that connected to her, or someone just graduated college and she's acknowledging the person having completed whatever, but she's showing me something like this. So there's a reference there. She also shows me the number 2. So do you know if February or the 2nd of a month is connected?
No, I don't.
Okay, so she's acknowledging that. So there's a reference there. There's actually 3 separate things connected to that too. So I would say that there might be 3 dates of significance connected to February. So it might be that there's 2 birth dates and then another date or an anniversary date that's in that month as well. But she's referencing something about that too. So there's a reference there. She also keeps acknowledging thank you. Is there a picture of her? It might be... It either is sepia or it's black and white, but there's a picture and it's almost like a side view. Is there a picture of her where she's kind of facing sideways? It's not like completely sideways, but it's almost like at an angle, and then it's almost like either sepia or black and white.
I'll have to look into that with my mom.
Okay, because she's showing me something like that as well. She also keeps Is there a CAM or KAM name that is also significant?
CAM or what?
CAM or KAM?
CAM, cam. No, not that I know of.
Okay, so she's bringing me that reference or that, and I feel like it's a name. So it's CAM or K. It sounds like that, Cam or Cam. So it's got to sound
Okay.
like that. She also
Mhm.
keeps acknowledging, thank you. Do you have a book that she had, or is there a book that you were gifted from her?
A book? No,
Hmm.
not that I can think of.
Nope, it's a book. It's almost like it's like it sounds like a history book. It feels like it's a history book, or it's a book that's got historical like things in it. Because she's
Okay.
acknowledging it's a history book. It literally looks like a book where this history of something is being shared. So there's something
Okay.
there that's referencing to that as well. She was ready to go. She makes me feel like she was like done and she was ready to go. So she didn't really want to be here that much longer. She is also acknowledging she couldn't feel part of her hand or part of her, so she was having issues with sensing or feeling something in her hand or in her side. Do you know if she was
Oh,
having an issue?
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so she's just acknowledging that. She also keeps acknowledging another picture. She loves her pictures. Another picture of her. She's dressed in red. So there's another picture of her in red as well. That might be
Okay.
significant. And there's two other people in the I think in the picture with her. But there's another picture like that.
Okay. And I also wanted to ask, like, is there anything I need to know about like my health and my parents' health?
Oh, that's a broad question. Is there something specifically you want to ask me
Like,
about, or something
like,
just?
is there anything I should be like concerned about in regards to like my health, like my
Mm,
dad's health, my
mhm.
mom's health?
So as far as your health is concerned, let me see. Tell me something about each of. Tell me something about one of them. Most most pressing. Your dad needs to keep an eye on his back because there's some issues going on with the disc. One of the discs in his back is kind of like moving around, so he probably is going to have that followed up with a doctor. Um, that's the most pressing thing I would be concerned with for him. There
Okay.
may even be some nerve reactions because of it. So if he starts to have weird nerve stuff, it's connected to that.
Okay. And just one more thing. Is there anything my spirit guides want to like let me know?
Stop worrying, stop trying to overplan everything. So if you're trying to like over strategize the next year or two, you may need to kind of take it like go with the flow and not try to plan it all out or like have it be all like go a certain way.
Okay.
Because if you're trying to plan things out, your plans are not going to work out. You're going to have to rework your entire plan by the end of next year. So just go
Okay.
with the flow and don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sweetheart. Check with your mom.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye. All right, so let's go over here. Mm, let's go to Monique.
Okay, so
Hello,
it's
Monique.
running against you.
Monique.
Or the trouble is we're gonna be fucked because he said
Hello,
that was
Monique. All right, hanging up because I don't know what's going on. I don't want to see. I don't want to see naked people. I don't want to see naked people unless they're really hot guys. I'm okay with that. But don't really want to have someone like pop out of nowhere. Oh my God, what is that? Is that a snake? Let's see. Let's go to Elizabeth Butler. Let's see if I can get Elizabeth on here. Let's see. Come on, Liz. Liz Lemon. I'm waiting for you. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, canceling. All right, let's try someone else. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, let's go over to Kelly. Let's see if I can get Kelly on here. Hello. Hi, how are you doing, sweetheart?
I'm good.
Good. What did you want to ask me?
My daughter passed away, and I just want to know, like, it's a lot. I just
Hmm.
want to know if he's there, if
Yeah.
this,
Yeah. So first of all, she showed me the number three. So do you know if either the third of a month or the Jennifer or March is connected?
she died in March.
Got it. So she's just acknowledging that. She also has four other people with her, and I want to say they're all females. One older female, so I want to say the older female might be like a grandmother or an aunt, and then the other three females are like to her side, so they would be people who are around the same age or would be like on that age. Oop, oop, there you go. They would either be on that age range or to her side. So she's acknowledging that she's in good company. She also keeps thank you. Did your daughter like baseball or like playing sports?
She did when she was little, but not as a teenager or anything.
Okay, she's showing me a picture of herself, and I feel like she's got a cap on, like a baseball cap, and I
Yeah.
feel like she's trying to be funny in the picture. And I don't know if she's playing sports or it's just her being silly and goofy. But she's
When she,
showing me.
when she was young, when she was a young girl, she did. I have pictures of her playing softball. So,
Oh, perfect, perfect. Because I was seeing because she's showing me that, so she's acknowledging that. She also thank you. She also thank you. Is the name Harris connected, or is there a Harris or a Harrison connection?
no, she had a friend when that had a brother named Harrison, which is the
Mm-hmm.
I'd ever heard of other than the movie star. That
Interesting.
was that was years ago when she was
Mhm.
a young girl, but that was a very significant family to her when she was
Okay.
young.
So it's one of two things. Because when I was thinking of Harris, I was also thinking of Harrison Ford as well. But I was thinking of just the name. So it's possible she's either trying to say hello to that family or just acknowledge and say hello or bring up that individual because there may be something going on with that individual that she's trying to bring attention to. She also is showing me the 11, which is next month. So do you know if the 11th or November is also connected? Two.
Um,
There's 2 dates in the same time frame.
my birthday's in November.
Okay. And then there's also another date of significance in November as well. That's okay. Don't worry about it. You may need to ask, but she's acknowledging there's 2 dates in November. So she's referencing that as well. She's thank you. Is there a bracelet connected to her? Because she's showing me this. It's gonna sound weird, but it's almost like I'm taking things that don't go together and putting them together, and there's a connection to the wrist.
Okay.
Okay, so there's something. So it's almost odd. It's almost like if someone had a charm bracelet, but I add stuff on there that has nothing to do with charms, but I still add it on. It's almost like weird, like putting things together that don't technically go together. Because she's acknowledging something like that as well. She also, thank you. She messed with your phone or your cell phone, so if it's been acting up or acting peculiar and just like turning itself on for no reason at all. She says she's been trying to get your attention as well. She also says that she whispered in your ear, called your name out. So if you heard her or heard someone, she says that's her. She's trying to physically like communicate with you, which is not something that they do very often. So that takes a lot of energy. So just know that. Birds are also connected to her and butterflies. So both of them are going to also be connected to her as well. She also says that you, do you know they sang Alleluia at her service?
Um, there was a song played. It's called Broken Vessels, and it was another version of Amazing Grace within
Okay.
reason.
Okay. Because what she's showing me, so this morning when I woke up, I was like looking at stuff on YouTube and there was a singer and they were singing Hallelujah. And I was like, oh, they sound great. She's bringing me that memory. So I don't know if there's a YouTube video of her actual ceremony or there's something about singing the unique song. Now, if that's the song that she's referencing, I'm just totally twisting that in a weird way.
I
But
listen to that song a lot. I hear that song a lot, and
oh,
I feel moved when I hear it.
that's
It
it.
makes me
That's it.
cry.
That's it, because I'm hearing that song specifically. So Hallelujah itself is going to be a song to you. She wants you to know that this is her way of letting you know she's around you. So if it randomly comes on or just plays, this is her way of connecting with you. She's also showing me, and it's going to sound funny, I don't know if she ever has another picture of her wearing bunny rabbit ears or her dressed up like a bunny rabbit, but there's a reference there as well. You got,
Yeah.
yeah. So she's acknowledging that as well. She also talks about, thank you. Did you plant something in the garden for her or did you put something in the ground for her? Because she's acknowledging that as well.
Yeah, and our house flooded twice.
Mm.
So we did plant something around a tree, but then we were going to plant a tree, but we kept flooding. So
Yeah.
plan on doing that soon.
Yeah, so she's just acknowledging like the efforts to do this. So she's making reference to this. Also, is there Mitch or Mitchell, or because she's bringing up that name as well? Okay, she's just acknowledging that individual. So they're in spirit. She's letting us know that the person's there. If it's someone alive, she's acknowledging them here and saying hello. But she's bringing up that name. Okay.
God that she had dated prior.
So she's probably trying to say hi. She's just probably trying to say hi then. So
She
she's
left behind a little girl. Is there anything for her daughter?
Do you think I see bicycle? Do you know if she just got another bike, or there's two? It's a funny thing about two bikes with the little girl.
Probably because she has
It's almost like I have a place. It's almost like I have two playrooms in different houses. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Got it. She's just acknowledging knowing about her daughter and the situation with having two playrooms in two different houses. So it's almost like she lives in two different places. Okay. All right, sweetheart. She's okay. She's okay.
Did she mean it? Her death.
Did she? Here's the thing. I'm asking her, and she's like, I don't want to focus on that. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you want to focus on that? And she's like, I don't want anyone focusing on that. So she's almost intentional that she doesn't want that to be the focus of her life. She says that was one moment, a stupid moment that I wasn't thinking through. So that, I think that answers the question. It wasn't not intentional. But she says, I don't want to focus on one moment, a stupid moment I didn't think through. I want my life to be what it needs to be, not that moment.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. So it's exactly almost what I say.
Yeah, she's okay, and she's fine, and she's with other people there, so she's not alone. Okay. Sweetheart, have fun at the lake or at the pool. So I don't know if y'all are planning on going.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, just to have fun at the pool. So she's just acknowledging that. Okay. All right, sweetheart.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, let's bring Hugo on for a second because I want to ask him. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. So
Yeah.
I know you asked earlier about your uncle. Did you understand what I was saying about those pieces of information? I don't remember what I said, but do you remember what I had said?
Yeah, I wrote it down. I remember you said something about like a picture. The picture is definitely what my niece just woke up.
That's okay.
Like a picture of Mako. Hi, babies. Oh, I'm sorry, she's right here.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
That's okay.
But yes, so a picture of that, and then I think his son is named the same thing as him, and you said something about that. And to say hi to my mom, who was his older sister.
Ah, got it. So that's why he wanted to connect with her. Also, there's a baby with him in spirit. Do you know if your mom ever had miscarriage, or there was a?
Yeah, she did. She did.
I wanted to let her know that as well. He also thinks about the money being changed over to a different currency. So do you know there's something about having to transfer money over to a different type of bank or a different currency?
Go with these things. Yes, they're from Mexico. So
got it.
Yeah.
Got it, because he's just acknowledging that as well. He also, is there a Pedro name or a P, like Pedro name?
P.
Padre or Padro, but it's almost like a Pedro sounding name.
P. Pedro. Okay, not to my knowledge.
Okay. If you ask your mom, there's a guy that's there who's got that name, who she may have known when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
No connection to the family, might not even be family, but it's almost like a young person that passed away too soon, to let your mom know the person's also there as well. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you. Do you have a picture of him in a vehicle or with him next to a vehicle?
Not me. Maybe my mother does.
It's a picture. I feel like there's a vehicle, and I feel like he's next to the vehicle. It's almost like when someone buys a new vehicle and people are taking pictures next to it. That's what it reminds me of. So there's
Okay.
a picture like this because he's acknowledging that, and there's someone else in the picture with him as well. If you were in the picture, you might have actually been like a baby, but it's almost like a really old picture, so it's not anytime soon. He's also
Okay.
92. Is there a connection to the year 1992?
That's when my brother was born.
Okay. That maybe it's your brother in the picture with 92, and it's a vehicle. It might be a blue vehicle too, so it might be like a bluish color vehicle, but there's a reference to this vehicle and that age or that year 1982. So he's referencing.
Okay.
Thank you. Did you have something weird happen with the stuff in your closet or with the closet door?
No, it's just like hard to open sometimes.
No. It's almost like I open it and stuff is on the floor and it shouldn't be on the floor.
Okay, yeah, I have a lot of stuff on the floor, like dog food and stuff.
No, it's almost like something should be up high and it's not, and it ends up on the floor. And it's got something to do with stored in the closet or something in the closet. So there's something, this may not be your house because it might be, or your closet, it might be mom's closet, or because I feel like he's stuff in a box or there's stuff in the box and it's almost like, I know I put it up high, but I don't know why it's on the ground. There's something there that he's making a reference to that he did as well. So if you ask him, you know what he's talking about.
Okay.
He's also talking about the family of 4. Are there 4 of them, the siblings?
With him, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's just wanting to acknowledge the 4 siblings, and he's referencing the others to say hello to all of them, just to make sure that they're okay. And also the 2 birthdays that are coming up in the next month as well. So there's 2 birthdays coming up in November.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So he's just wanting to wish you all okay. So he's good. He's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. You take care.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, let's see. What time is it? I think I could do one more before I run out of time. Let's do DJ. Let's do another guy, because I rarely do guys. Once they show up here, I'm like, oh, I need to like. Generally, check your thyroid, because your thyroid might be acting up. All right, DJ. Gabrielle, Garcia, Mr. Waiting for you. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, it's okay. We go to who I was originally going to go to. Oh, let's go to Yvonne. She just popped up there. And then I'll bounce over to the study group. Yvonne?
Oh my gosh,
Hi.
hi.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. What did you want to ask me?
Do you see me getting into a relationship anytime soon?
So, yes and yes. I actually think you're going to have more than one option available, though. I think that by December, it's not soon, but by the end of next year, so by December 20, I'm thinking this next year, though. It might be this year, so I could be wrong on the timing, but I'm thinking it's next year. December 2021, I do think that you're going to be involved with someone. What's interesting is someone that you would have gone on a date with, or you may have started to date or talk to during 2021, early in the year, may pop back in while you're also already kind of getting into something serious in December with this other person. So you're gonna have 2 options. One, the one that you would have started dating earlier in 2021, everything on the list of what you would want is checked with that person. I just don't feel like confident, though, that it's something that would go on for very long, but it feels like everything you would want is like checked off. The other person that you connect with at the end of the year, December of 2021, that's a person that I kind of want for you. Here's the thing: they're gonna have very different. They're gonna have very different physical appearances. The one early in the year is in shape, fit, cares about their body. They're definitely like about it. The one at the end of the year is not. They're a little bit heavier, not like a big guy, but it's more heavier set. So he's a little more, he's got some fluff. Let's put it that way. So he's a little more fluffy. And that guy's funny as hell. I want that guy for you because you take yourself too seriously and you kind of need to laugh too much. And so I feel like that guy would help you so much with your anxiety and stress. The one earlier in the year, I feel like you would essentially feel like a trophy wife if you got into that relationship with that person, because it would, I think it would just feel like it doesn't feel like you would be appreciated as much. The one at the end of the year, that person will help you get to all of your goals. So
Aww.
for you, that person's name is starts with a J. It might be Jer, like Jeremy, Jeremiah, etc. You're straight, right? I'm just assuming you're straight.
Yeah.
So, okay. It's Jeremy, Jeremiah, it's got the end of the year. The one earlier in the year, I think his name is, I think they call him Tito, but I don't know what his name is, but they call him Tito.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You'll be married, what year is it? What year is it? 2020, 21, 22? You'll be married by March of 2023, just so you know.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Bye.
All right, take care. All right, guys, I'm out. So I love you all, and I will be back on Friday for our next live. I'm about to get off. I'm about to get back on. I'm not getting back on to answer questions for readings anymore. We're doing the study group. So just FYI. So in case y'all are like, what? All right, so there you are.
Hey.
I was like, the thing was like uploading so slowly. I'm like, what is going on? Why is it not uploaded all the way? And I was like trying to figure that out. So,
Girl, it's Mercury retrograde. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do anything right.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
trying to tell me I didn't have internet connection, but like I'm sitting here using it on the computer and on the phone. I just watched you on live and it's like, you don't have the internet. Okay. You're right.
It's a mess. It's a mess. All right. So where are we at? So let's see. How you doing?
I'm tired and I just found out I'm on my period. So.
Oh no! Did you get some chocolate?
I'm okay. Well, the thing is that like, you know, like I have a phantom period because we're just going to talk about this real quick. I have an IUD, so I don't have like a flow usually, but my friend was like, girl, I'm like, oh, that's what it is. So yeah. So yes, but I'm okay because I'm going to give me some sleep tonight.
Yeah, I hate my sister whenever, I could always tell when she's on her period. My sister and my best friend, because they always are a little extra crazy whenever they're on the period, or right before, and then once they hit it, then they're good. But right before, they're like, so.
It's a disaster. So what is it, number 9? Because I feel like I looked at this where it says Jean Dixon, but I don't know if we talked about. Well, maybe we did.
We did read that, and then because that one, I think we finished. Did we finish that one? Yeah, I did, because I remember reading a desert is a desert is a desert. So I remember that part. So we're in 44 then.
Okay. Yeah, because all she was talking about was don't be having sex. Okay.
Yeah, bye. So hey everybody, so we're doing our study group. So if you are following along, we are doing a course in miracles, and we are on page 37 of the other version, the second version, not the first one, but the one with all the notes. Annotated, is that what it's called? Yeah, annotated version. So yeah, so page 37. So we're on number 44. That's where we left off last time. All right, you want to go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you run the show. You can run the show today. You can ask questions. You can dispel all of the spiritual knowledge and wisdom of the universe. I'm gonna let you have it. It's all on you.
Don't do me like that. Okay. Number 44. Because I was like, there's some crazy shit going on. You know, my theories are all conspiracy. Okay, miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind. This state of mind goes out to anyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the atonement itself is one. By being one, it unites all creations with their creator. Well, My notes are somewhere over here, but I'm just going to talk. So, miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind to anyone. Did we talk about this? Did we get, because remember we were talking about branding, and I was talking about how whenever I write something, I'm like sending it to just those people that it needs to hit directly. No?
I don't think so. I don't think we did number 44 yet. You know what? Maybe we did.
I don't be knowing. That 43 was so long.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's okay. It's so short. It's literally like one note. So you can just expound on it again, or you can just, tie it into something. So.
Okay. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the atonement itself is one. Okay, so again, atonement is what? Forgiveness of self?
Coming to peace around something, or coming to peace and resolution around an issue of lack or fear or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let me just give you an example. I just went to the grocery store. Of course, I was like, stop trying to pick up everything. Let's go. And I'm cranky funky. So I was like, this doesn't work though, because it is lack. Because I'm like, So I went and wrote about 6 or 7 new affirmations so I can memorize them. And the only reason why I came to that is because I do my work and I talk to myself and I listen to the answers that come through. So I'm like, okay, this isn't working. If I don't want to feel like this, what can I do to fix it? So that is a miracle to me, because I lived my life for a long time without that ability or the knowledge that I could even repair my own life. So that lets me know that I am part of source, that I'm able to do that. So yeah, and knowing that, I'm like, I need to tell them this, because I started feeling like I saw like maybe 5 or 6 news stories today that kind of pinged me in a way that was like, this doesn't really feel right. Like somebody got killed at the Renaissance Festival. Like, when have you ever heard that happen? Never.
That's right.
Yeah. So I was like, there, like a couple people I talked to were like, I feel really heavy. And I'm like, it's not just me. So everyone is kind of under that same energy, and people who are not doing their work are going to be like, I'm about to kill somebody. And people who don't have control over themselves are going to do what? Actually hurt someone or themselves. Yeah. So like, we just need to be realizing that like, we don't have to be in that state of angst, like you can rise above that. So that's kind of what I feel there. I'm just rambling, but I mean,
but yeah, I think it's a skill. It's a skill that you learn, catching yourself in the midst of having a reaction and only being aware of the reality of the issue. That, most people were just reacting and dealing with the reality of that issue, But when we can see ourselves and develop that ability to like look at ourselves objectively from like a third part, it's almost like we disconnect and see ourselves in a different vantage point, and we recognize our own behavior and what we're doing. And in that, then we have a choice. It's like, because people who are not self-aware, who are even allowing themselves to have that mechanism switch on, to become activated, there's no question, like, my behavior is justified no matter what. There's always this like constant like natural reactiveness. But when you start to catch yourself and you're like, holy crap, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I feeling this way? Do I need to feel this way? Can I like change or like, roll that back a little bit? I think that's a skill that takes time and practice, because most of us just want to react. Not all of us stop and like actually examine ourselves and look at ourselves from that different vantage point and unique perspective. And at the end of the day, it's still a reality that doesn't truly exist. It's just simply reflecting, the energy of the collective, and also the energy of what we're choosing to sustain and experience. And you don't necessarily have to be part of that to make it better or to improve yourself. You can, okay, I'm aware of it. I don't necessarily have to be in the middle of it. I'm aware of it, but let me focus on what I can do from my end to work on me, but also, is there anything I can do to help with that? Most people, they just want to work on themselves. They like, okay, well, they can all rot, and they disconnect from the rest of the source. the idea of like, because the miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind. The state of mind goes out to anyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. What I wrote down, my notes were synchronicities and alignment are a capacity and experience for everyone. All can get into the flow state that allows for miracles. It can happen intentionally or unintentionally. Once the person has come to a place of peace and resolution within themselves over a conflict or in relation to the state of lack and fear, then the unity of form and formless, creator and creation completes, and all is available to the individual that is available to God. We did do this one before, but just to piggyback on that, like a lot of people want to be like, I need to be perfectly healed, or I need to completely demolish the ego. The ego needs to disappear. Like there's all these mindsets, like I need to do this, I need to do that before I can access prosperity, or I can access the source beingness of everything. And you actually don't need any of those things. All you need is to get to a place of acceptance that that we are source, that what we are experiencing and encountering is also a reflection of creation of source, and that when we make a choice for something, just having the choice will automatically align us to that, and then we can start to be open and more receptive of that, which is what we are desiring. Most people create automatic blocks. Like if it hasn't happened with the click of my finger, or if it hasn't happened because I wanted it, that means there's a block. And so people, like if you look online, you have a lot of people who are following all of these spiritual teachers and coaches because they're trying to remove the blocks, but the blocks don't actually exist. Their perception of the block is the block. And so most people get stuck in that, and then they are spending all this time trying to figure out the block, trying to figure out like, how do I dissolve the block? How do I just, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, you know, like this is what I want to be a professional psychic medium, but when I try to be psychic, I'm wrong. I'm like, okay, and how are you blocked? Well, because I should be right. Who the hell told you that? When the hell did you get that idea that you're supposed to be right 24 hours a day, 7 days? Like, are you crazy? Like, no, like, you know, this is a process. And so just move in that direction. It's going to amplify, and it's going to, and you'll start to notice the synchronicities and the pops in the energy change to allow you to be aware, to remind you that you are actually doing something, you're achieving something. It may just not happen right away or instantaneously. But, you know, that's the idea of the blocks and people getting stuck with the block mentality.
You know, and I think one of the things is, and I talk about this a lot because to me, I see a lot of people focus on manifesting just money. But I'm like, any shift that you create in your life is a manifestation. Your desire was to change or to grow just a little bit or whatever. Like if people would pay attention to the little shifts in their life, like when I go back through those pictures or I look back through my notebooks and I see the growth there, then I'm like, okay, yes, I'm absolutely successful in this. And I don't have to see mountains of money to feel successful, because if you're waiting for that, you're never gonna feel good, you know? And that's usually the goal, is to feel better, I think, for me.
Yeah. I think, you know, when it comes to, and it's good that you bring up money and prosperity, because if you spend a lot of time thinking about how you don't have enough and how you need to get more, all you're doing is telling the universe, I don't have enough and I need to get more, so I'm in a state of lack. Oh, okay, this is your reality. Let me send you more situations that make you feel that way, because that's what you're choosing to feel. It's what you're spending most of your experience here choosing to feel. Because people think, well, I can't choose that. You know, my bills are due or whatever. Yeah, but like you can set a budget. You can pay your bills as best as you can. The stuff you can't pay, and that's it. And then try to work your life around those dynamic scenarios and situations. But it is what it is. You know, it's like what I told friends, like if my business folds and like that's it, I'm done. What am I going to do? Nothing. So then at that point I have to, okay, well, let me cancel all the bills. Let's pack up all our crap. Let me see if I can pull together some money so I can rent a U-Haul. You know, let's ask family if we can stay with them, because that's what's required. That's what's necessary. If I'm thinking about that every day, like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose everything, I'm gonna lose everything, I'm gonna lose everything, it's only amplifying that energy, and I'm actually summoning that experience to me. But if I just set a budget, pay my bills, and don't worry about the next month, and I just focus on, okay, in this moment right now, whatever I have control over, I've taken control and I've done what I can do from an action standpoint. but I'm not going to spend the rest of the next 30 days worried about the next set of bills I have to pay or the next whatever. So I'm just going to focus on, okay, that's done. I don't have to worry about it. Now what do I need to do? And then focus on something else. Because in that, you're releasing that control and that energy so that you're not so attached to the sense of lack with money. And then what you'll do at that point is you'll start to kind of realign your energy. Usually it takes 30 to 90 days. But at that point, you lessen the effect of lack in your life, of lack of prosperity, lack of money. You're increasing the sense of well-being, not dependent on money because you're not thinking about it. You've already done what you needed to do action-wise, so focus on something else. And then what happens is when you release that intention towards money and lack of it, and you focus on something else and you just deal with it, all of a sudden things start to shift after a while, and people don't realize that really is, it is that simple. It is that simple. But most people are like, yeah, but tomorrow I'm going to be worried about this bill or that bill or whatever. I'm like, okay, well then if you can't pay it, you can't pay it. You're going to have to, you know, deal with the reality that that's may not go paid for a week or two or a month. And if you lose that, you know, you lose those rims, you lose those rims, you know, you better find some alternative rims then, because, you know, rims ain't the beginning or the end of all of life's, you know, prosperity. Like, you know, try food, try, you know, try healthcare, you know.
Something important. You know what somebody told me that really was helpful? Whenever I was panicking, I guess it's maybe like last year or so, but he was like, well, do you have enough money for today? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that makes sense though. Cause like just even putting it in those simple terms, like today, like just look at today. Cause we spend so much time looking ahead and then remembering, well, the last time I didn't have it was like this. And like, that's that feeling of panic that you're stuck in. Like you don't have to live there.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't think that most of us are taught that we need to, I guess that's living in the now, because most of us don't live in the now. Most of us are like, the future, I'm going to lose everything. It's all over. It's like, it's done. It's done. You know, it's like, no, girl, it's not. One day, you're going to be fine today. Chill the fuck out. Sit your ass down. It's fine. So, the miracle is an expression of an inner awareness of Christ and acceptance of his atonement. The mind is in a state of grace and naturally becomes gracious both to the host within and the stranger without. By bringing in the stranger, he becomes your brother. The miracle of healing is to bring those who are estranged from each other together because they are estranged from God. The miracles you are told not to perform have not lost their value. They are still expressions of your own state of grace, but the action aspect of the miracle should be Christ-controlled because of his complete awareness of the whole plan. The impersonal nature of miracle-mindedness ensures your own grace, but only Christ is in a position to know when grace can be bestowed. And by the way, guys, whenever she brings up Christ, even though from the perspective of what she's writing, because she was channeling all of this, so when she was channeling all this, she believed she was communicating with the being that we would consider to be Christ or Jesus. However, what I've been told by Aja is that she was actually communicating with her highest self or her own soul, and the only way she would accept that is if it had some sort of authority to it. She didn't trust herself, so it basically used the expression of Christ or Jesus to be able to communicate with her. So just FYI. But whenever she's referring to Christ controlled, etc., it represents the highest form of self or the soul or a higher awareness or beingness. So what did you get from that?
So I think that kind of goes back to just like what we were talking about previously in showing yourself grace as you're growing, because you know, when you hold yourself to the standard of perfection, like I won't be able to do blah, blah, blah until you hold yourself farther away from this higher energy. And I think when you're able to extend grace to people maybe in the past that you were judging, like I'll give you an example, and this is will go right into the note number 3 too. Like earlier today in my group, there was a discussion about men and women always just dating, blah, blah, blah. And one person was talking about how single women with kids like myself have low value. And we need to understand and respect that we are not of high value due to these baggages that we carry. And I've grown a lot. And I've seen this person participate in the same discussion for the last 5-6 years. And just now
Male,
I was going to say again?
male or female?
A guy. Male.
Okay, well, of course.
Yeah, right. And I was going to say, because I just said, he said something like, oh, well, y'all are stuck. Because they were like, oh man, I got stuck reading because he has some, anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was like, y'all are stuck. And I said, you know, I've seen everybody grow in here, but you have the same mindset you had 5 years ago. And he's like, I haven't seen anybody improve. And I'm like, you know, I wrote this really long thing, just really reading him. And I was like, no, because no, you know, just like I felt like instantly, like, don't say this because not only is it a waste of your energy, but he is not prepared to accept that. So that would have been a waste of me telling him the truth. So I guess, like, you know, I've been paying attention to that a little bit more, trying to hold back from telling everything to everybody because some people are just not ready to receive it, you know.
I can agree with that, and then sometimes I don't agree with that. I agree with that because I think that we shouldn't be forcing our own perceptions or our own perspectives or our own choices upon other people. I think we should definitely respect people, their wishes and their choices and where they are. I think that's 100%. You know, that's one of the reasons why we have so many wars is because people don't know how to respect other people's choices and decisions, and they want to impose their will on others. So the basis of war is that, or you're fighting for resources. But at the same time, I've had enough clients over the years and the experiences that they go through that I know sometimes people are so lacking in self-awareness that they kind of need something to kind of slap them across the face. I remember when I think I was 17 or 16, I used to be overweight, and then I, lost it, then I gained it again and lost it. So anyways, but I was overweight. And then that summer after, and it was my sophomore year, because I came back So it was my first year in high school. After the first year in high school, I went, during summer break, I lost like 40 pounds or 45 pounds. And during the 2.5 months, I don't know how the hell I did that, but I did it. And I did it healthy too. I was like, what I did was I found, because back then we were broke, right? So we didn't have any money, but I had an aunt who had a stationary bike and with a pedal thing and everything. So I got that. And I basically pulled it up to the couch, and I would sit there for 6 hours, just like moving my legs with a little bit of resistance, watch all my soap operas, General Hospital's, One Life to Live, all of the great stuff, and move my legs for 6 hours. And what I didn't realize is that I was burning like 2,000 or 3,000 calories more a day than whatever. So that's probably why I lost so much in like 2.5 months. And it worked though. But when I went back, people who remembered me did not recognize me, or they were like, what happened to you? And I remember walking up, and this guy who worked, he was this guy who worked at the school. He saw me, he's like, are you okay? Are you on drugs? And I was like, no, like I lost this the hard way, right? He's like, oh my God, you look great. I was like, thank you. But now it makes me feel like maybe I'm looking like a junkie or something. But after a while, it went to my head, and my ego blew up because I was like getting so many compliments and so many people giving me positive feedback. I was never used to that. I was always used to the opposite. So when you start to receive so much positive feedback, and if you can learn to control continuing to receive it, it can become this really weird mental place to get stuck in, where you only see value up to the point of the thing you can control, but there's no value with you beyond that. And so for me, I let it go to my head, and I was very sassy, very like, the way I am now, but like way unhinged, like Ferny unhinged. And I remember my cousin, telling me, one of my closest cousins, she was like, nobody wants to spend time with you anymore. Like, this is why nobody likes you, because you're like this. And I was like, what? And like it like completely caught me off guard. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah. She's like, you think you're like everything, and like everything's about you, and you know, you're always like trashing or talking shit about other people, and like you think you're everything. And you know, this is why nobody wants to spend time with you. None of us want to be around you. And I was like, and like it, like you could hear probably my heart breaking inside. But she had reason to say that because I was being a complete asshole, and I had gotten comfortable. I didn't even realize that I was doing that. After that day, I checked myself a lot more, and I was like, I'm not gonna, you know. Now I'm just me, funny, Ferny, you know, whatever. And sometimes I say, I'm like, girl, what'd you just say? But I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty self-aware, so I know that. And if I'm hurting somebody, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or whatever. But I'm pretty self-aware. Some people don't ever achieve that, even when they're called out, and some people never get called out. And I have clients where I'm like, you need to call this person out, or you need to tell them, even if y'all don't stay together, tell them what they need to know, because they're obviously not aware of what they are, or how it's affecting everybody around them. So with this person, you know, I think somebody needs to call him out, because he's obviously living in the dark ages, and he don't even realize that his boat's still docked, and his rudder is rusted, and nobody really wants to get on that boat because it hasn't been kept up with. So, you know, he probably doesn't know all these things that he's contributing to, or doing. What kind of group is this, by the way?
It's my podcast group.
Oh, your podcast.
The podcast group, which
Sounds
we don't
like
even talk about podcasting.
Sound like an interesting conversation that Ferny would probably enjoy being a part of. But yeah, I think that he probably needs to.
You want me to add you?
You know what? Feel free to invite me. I would love to, because you know I have a big mouth, so I'll probably say what I need to say. But I think that when you place value and worth on how the world perceives you, on your ability to have control of your life, your ability to achieve this kind of, you know, title, that kind of title, when you place value and worth on the things you have, and the looks you have, and the status that you carry, then your value and worth will only be about those things, and you might achieve success in those areas, but it will be a lonely existence in one way or another. But when you see the value in each other and people, and what people evolve to, and what they become, and what they work past, you know, the fact that I can speak about being, actually don't have any emotional reaction inside of me, that's an achievement, because that means that it didn't break me. It didn't break me. That experience of being assaulted did not break me as a child. And I was able to overcome that, to speak on it, and to carry the wisdom and the compassion for others who may go through the same thing. So, you know, I think this individual is just, they're not aware, and they probably need to be called out on it.
I mean, I'm just like I said, in 5 years, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I guess because I feel like I've seen so many people growing, and I feel like that's been the purpose of, especially the last year, is like at least level a little bit up, you know, become a little bit more compassionate, because it just is like a lack of basic compassion. It's like, if you can't see that there's nothing, first of all, you don't have to date somebody who's a single parent. You don't have to, but you don't have to tear us down just because you don't prefer it. You know, like, I don't like people who can't read, but I don't tell you every day, you know?
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I guess that's just where I kind of am.
Being a single, because what you just said there, being a single parent to me doesn't equate to someone who can't read. Because in my opinion, if you're able to be a single parent and maintain still being a parent and holding everything together without having the additional support of a spouse or a significant other, that shows some major ability to handle and manage scenarios and situations beyond your control. Because once children are born, you lose all control of your life. Like, you literally like, that's how it is running me for the next 20 years. Like, that's what it becomes about. And so the fact that you're still able to have that, go through that, and still also produce or create something as well, it doesn't take away from your capacity as a human being or as someone of value. It actually adds onto it. And if the people who are judging that based on the value system of like, well, you know, single, female, whatever, that person is completely disconnected from the value, the actual value life has to offer. And that person is going to miss so many little things that would bring them joy. And they probably are just cynical at this point. So they're
Yeah.
just angry because they don't feel like they've gotten what they deserved and that
Right.
they feel they worked for. But, you know, putting effort into something that doesn't produce isn't really earning anything. It's just putting effort towards something that isn't producing. It's a fool's errand. It doesn't do
Yeah.
nothing for you.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I guess the thing is it is triggering to me because
Mhm.
that has been the thing that I am lack. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's my lack space. Just
Yeah.
like I said, I went and wrote all these affirmations. So I'm like, this stops now. Like, I stopped feeling overwhelmed. I stopped
Mhm.
feeling like it's holding me back from whatever. I stopped worrying about people at the grocery store. It ends now because that happening today was like, you know what, bitch? Like, this is the thing that is fucking with you. Because
Yeah.
that's really the way I use all of what I have learned. You
Mhm.
are to find the roots to the things that are holding you
Mhm.
hostage.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is a thing that is bothering me. So I'm like, that shouldn't even be triggering me because just like you said, I am a success every day because I am like a superwoman. And I don't
Mhm.
even really complain about it. I just
Yeah.
get up, I do what I have to do, I take care of my
Mhm.
kids, and I pay all my bills in full. You know, like I never leave anything undone. And I'm
Yeah.
still like, hey, we're living. So it's
Mhm.
like for somebody to be looking at me just based on what's on paper and trying to diminish my value, I was like, these people are sick. And do you know what's happening outside? Like, look, like I said, all these news stories and people, somebody threw their baby off of a balcony. Like, and you're talking about really basic, dumb stuff. Grow
Mhm.
up. Like
Mhm.
this, it's really about to get very heavy out here. They still have not distributed that check because I feel like they're intentionally holding like a carrot dangle. They put that lady into that position very
Mhm.
quickly. You know already that she is not going to vote for the people. So it's like we can't even be looking at that kind of thing. We need
Mhm.
to be connecting and unifying because this is about to get so heavy. We can't be
Mhm.
dividing ourselves based on those really dumb ego. Ugh. I was like, this ends, but it ends now for me because I am not going to continue to get triggered about it. I'm just not, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, you just don't want to devote any energy to it, which, you
No.
know, and if anything, you actually did that intentionally out of spite. You're like, I'm not about to embark wisdom upon you so you can live in your ignorance. That's what you actually did. Not, I don't want to get tricked, so I'm going to pull back. No, that's not what you did. I know your internal workings. You were like, I'm not about to impart wisdom upon you because you're living in ignorance. So let you continue to live in ignorance and figure it out on your own. And that's what
Well,
you did.
I mean, I had already said something earlier, and he was like, oh, y'all think y'all are so funny and so cool. And I'm like, I'm about to say all of this really amazing stuff. And for
Yeah.
him to be like, whatever, I make six figures. Like,
So,
okay,
so,
leave it.
so if you make six figures and, you know, and like what,
Okay,
if
by
you're
now you should be making seven figures if you leveling up, you know?
right, right. People make six figures, they also spend six figures. That doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah.
I
So
know
anyway,
people,
that's what I've
I
been
know,
going through today. Now that y'all know.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know people who are millionaires and they live off of credit because they can't keep up with everything that they've invested, their money into with their lifestyle. They just can't afford it. So they're
Right.
making millions of dollars a year, but they're also spending more than that. They can't keep up appearances.
Exactly. And I'm not
Insane.
faking and fronting for nothing. I'm
Yeah.
living my life. You
Mm-hmm.
want to do number 46? Oh my God,
Yeah.
that one's long.
Well, well, I didn't even read. Let me read my 45 because
Okay,
you, I think, did you read yours? I know we
that
talked
was
about it, but,
mine.
oh,
Sean
that was,
just went
okay.
off.
Okay. 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 So 45, so was the miracle was an expression of an inner awareness of Christ and acceptance of his atonement. So what I wrote down was the alignments and synchronicities are the byproduct of a state of being that is at peace with what was, is, and will be. A state of resolution with conflicts based in fear and lack. A state of love, peace, and grace of representative of this state of mind. It allows one not only to exhibit and exemplify this state within and towards the self, but also to express it out to all of creation. Expressing this to all of creation, including all people then become representations of divinity. Acknowledging and embracing the divinity in all others allows healing and atonement, a resolution of the separation from each other and belief that we are separate from Source. With great awareness comes great control of expression. One only seeks to change what is driven by source intent and not individually intended. Synchronicities and alignment done on behalf of others is only fulfilled when driven by creation and not by self, a byproduct of honoring the creation in its perfect form. And what I got from it was the idea that, because I mean, she's addressing Christ, etc. Is when we are awake, when we're awoke, mm-hmm. we automatically want to like fix, or we automatically want to fix or improve somebody. We go into fixer mode. We want to fix other people's crap.
Yeah.
When we are in positions where we have our game together. And there's nothing wrong with that, because by default, automatically, the moment that we begin to realize our divinity and we begin to see it in ourselves and we begin to experience it directly within ourselves and throughout our direct experience, we're like, oh my God, I want to share this with someone. Oh my God, I want to give this to someone. And so this is what tends to happen is, instead of people, what tends to be most of society's issue is that you have people who, instead of, continue to sustain that and then offering, options for others to have the same, they just forget about themselves and they put other people before them, and then they become about others. And so when you do that, you're no longer coming from a place of source awareness, you're coming from a place of personal preference, and you're actually starting to choose what you would rather have that person be, because what you're immediately seeing is that this is the person's situation. They're not supposed to be going through this situation, or this has to be different than what it is. But everything is as it should be. But you have to, there's a calling within you, and this is what you were going through. There's a calling within you that tells you either say what you need to say to this person as it will come forth through you with all that you have to offer it, or this is not for you to be involved with. Go ahead and pull back, which that may be what you did. You were like, this is not my place. This is for someone else to do something with. So I'm going to honor this person's place and where they are and what they're doing. And that's been a hard challenge for me, because I always want to give everyone the world. I want to give everybody everything that I've been given and given to myself. But at the same time, it's not my place to give everyone the, everything. It's my place to just share what I can. And when I'm called in the moment to express and to share, then do it in that moment. But it has to come from that inner sense of connection with source. It can be from a Ferny place of, well, I think that you should be doing this instead. Or I think you should be doing that instead, because I see more value in this and I see more value in that, when that's not my place to establish value or worth for people. It's only my place to rise up to the level within me that is being called for to line up and to give that person what I feel compelled to give them. Whether they use it or not, it's up to them. But we can't have an invested interest in the outcome, because if we have an invested interest in the outcome, it goes back into a personal desire for them versus a source opportunity to engage.
Yeah. And also I feel like that would have been triggering for him and his ego, because it would have been in front of everybody with a lot of sort of personal information there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, just perhaps this is just not the place for it, right. Or because that's why I said I don't think he would have received it properly, because he would have been trying to fight me because he was been triggered, Mm-hmm. And I get that. So it's like, I just felt like, you know, I'll just hold it, because maybe, you know, I can talk to him one-on-one, or maybe we'll never have the opportunity to have that conversation again. You never know. But
Is he a
I never want to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
regular member of the group?
Yeah, like this is somebody that regularly we talk. Oh, I'm losing you, I think. Oh, sorry. But I also never want to be,
I'm back.
because I was picked on and have been still, even as an adult woman, made to be like embarrassed publicly. I never want to really be doing that. Like there was a time when I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call this person out onto the carpet and I'm about to shame you. But like, I just don't want to be carrying that, you know, like I put him on Front Street, and that, I feel like that's what I was about to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have a question. This is kind of veering off in a completely different direction.
Okay.
Is there any remnants within you of feeling like you have you're less desirable because you are a single mother with kids? Is there any
Yeah, that's
remnants of
exactly
you that,
why I went
yep.
and wrote those affirmations, because I was like, this is about to cease. But that is a feeling in me, because I know that like it has also helped me to be more needy and more eager, you know, in relationships where I really should have been like, first of all, are you even able to talk to me? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, here I come.
Does a part of you feel like are you still angry with yourself for having chosen to give birth, to have children and go that route? Is a part of you still angry at yourself, or feels like, oh, like why did I do that to myself? Like, does a part of you feel that way at all still? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure that feeds in, but
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the majority of it, because I'm like, I put myself here where I can't do my work and teach my daughter, or I can't sleep all night because I have to get up to take my son to the basketball practice. So like, I consider those things, because I'm like, you choose, you know? So even if I wanted to play victim and be like, well, that person got me pregnant because he was trying to trap me, I still walked into it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, it's not something that I'm beating myself up about anymore, but it is still a thing. And I mean, that's why I do my work. So like, I just work on the areas that I need to improve. So, I mean,
you know, even though, you know, a part of you is like, ah, I chose that route or I went that way. Because what that reminds me of is, you know, back when I used to do readings at the beginning, early, like in my teenage years, because I was doing readings when I was a teenager for people. And I dealt with a couple of guys who were just kind of bastards. You know, one guy was like a shaman, and he was like, oh, you'll get better, and you're not there yet, you still have a lot to do. Like, he just totally demeaned me and made me feel like crap, and I wasn't in the mental space to be able to, like, you know, push back on that, because I just didn't have any self-esteem. Then there was a second guy where I was doing a reading for him, and I'm like, I kind of want you to be careful with the people you surround yourself with, because I keep feeling like the people that you are around, something's going to happen legally, or there may be some issues with, you know, with the law, and you might find yourself behind bars. So I want you to be careful. And he went off on me. He's like, you know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're just full of it. And like, I mean, the way he went off, I was like, okay. In the moment, I didn't realize it, but thinking back, I'm like, oh, I must have hit a nerve or something, because you wouldn't react that way if this was something that I just totally made up to, like, go and get angry. So, but I wasn't prepared to deal with that criticism and those digs. So I made the decision that I was not going to do. I'm like, God, if I can't, if people are not going to appreciate me, or people aren't going to value what I have to offer, then I don't want to do this. So take this away from me. And it went away, and my ability dropped and went away. It took me 15 years to get it back, and I busted my ass up to get it back. But for 15 years, I had no psychic ability. I couldn't sense anything. I was by nature an empath. I couldn't even feel people's emotions. It was just like a part of me had just been turned off. And I regretted that for years and years and years. But what it did do is it forced me to have to really understand this ability and how it works and how everyone can use it besides myself, because I had to do things that I normally wouldn't have to do to figure out how this works. So it took me down a path of understanding and discovery to be able to understand and to teach this in a way that is going to benefit other people. I think that as a child, you know, you came in very aggressive as a soul. And as a soul, you had a big to-do list. You're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm setting myself up on a soul level. That's where you were at.
I'm tired of this bitch.
Right. And so once you got here, you know, every choice, every decision, every experience we go through is going to serve us in one way or another. We may not achieve all of our goals exactly as we desired, but we're still going to achieve things. But I think one of the biggest things that you've run into in your life is the entire experience of having an older sister and not feeling valued and worth, and feeling like you couldn't be yourself, feeling like you couldn't express in a fully open, vulnerable, loving way. And because of this, you had to structure yourself around people's choices for you. And you know, what you think is like, what's, you know, I'm healing that, I'm healing from that or whatever, but you have a daughter who is by default not able to fit within structures. And so the universe is like, let me give you the gift of learning how to love yourself by loving someone who doesn't have the choice to be someone the way you had to choose to be yourself. And so in that, you're honoring her and acknowledging her, and she drives you crazy some days. But there's also a lot of, I mean, I was seeing her singing her little song yesterday, and I was just like, I mean, the amount of light that came from her in that moment, like, I can't describe it.
Yeah,
but
I know. But that's why I let her do it, though, because I know that's her.
Yeah, I saw something there that not a lot of people will see or recognize unless they are seeing depth and they're seeing energy. And the energy I saw, I not only saw her, I saw you. And I saw you next to her, like reveling in that energy and just allowing yourself to be. And I was like, wow, this is such a gift for her to have this child. And so, I mean, like I said, you know, there are days where, you know, I'm going to throw you off a bridge, girl. But there are most days it's like, I'm gonna love you more than I love to myself. And in the process, and in the process of that, you're giving me the ability to love beyond my capacity, which includes loving myself beyond these structures and these ideas that I've been trying to fit all of my life. So you can see it as like, oh, well, she just had a kid, now she has a responsibility. Sweetheart, there's depth and levels of like experience there that go beyond the superficial titles and the superficial, you know, credits and the superficial achievements. And if you can't see that, then you're so screwed for another 10 or 15 years until you figure that out. And I think that you're there. So you need to watch that. And by the way, it just within me, there was a light that just like, like it, I can't explain it.
Well, and I'm excited, like even in posting that, of course, my sister, God love her, was like, why do y'all always have to do the most? And I was like, I finally have somebody who can play with me, and we can do whatever we want to do. If we want to sing songs, if we want to pray, if we want to draw rainbows everywhere and talk about healing and talk about being the goodness inside of you, we can do it. And nobody can tell us you can't use your YouTube to talk about God or whatever you want to talk about and sing songs and read books. So like, we can do whatever we want. And that's why I allowed her space. You know, there are some things we have to try to do. Like we went to school today, go us. But it's like, I just try to let her be more free, because I know my mom couldn't do that. Her ego just would not allow her to let me be who I wanted to be. And then in looking at all my chart placements, it's like, yes, put her here and make this difficult. And yes, this is going to be hard. And oh yeah, you know, but just like you said, like I always was shamed for being free. And so like now I'm like, oh, I want to say something. And then I'm like, should I say it? Should I say it? If I say it, are they going to call me weird? They're going to call you weirdo. And so like, you know, I'm just growing through all of it, and I'm appreciative of the experience. But I mean, I just have a lot more to say, and it's just going to get more and more weird every week.
Well, and in that weirdness, some things just will feel natural for you, and some things are like, why have I been being this way for a long time? I mean, there's a new balance that's going to come from that, and that's okay, and that's the point. But I think she's teaching you that, and she's almost helping you to heal from things that you need to deal with. What is he healed from? Where is his healing coming from? And so obviously he hasn't done a lot of change or growth or healing because he's the same he's been for all these years.
You know what I wanted to tell you too, like on the way back from the store, and of course I cried because I'd be crying. But for the second time in like probably 25 minutes, I heard girls just want to have fun. And I was like, they do. I just want to have fun. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to be tired. What? And then I was like, you know, that's what we need to do, is just have fun. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And then I'm like, oh, I got to be an adult. But I'm like, how can I have fun as an adult? So.
Yeah. And we get to choose our own rules. You know, it's funny that you say girls just want to have fun, because that's the third time this week that has come up. That movie has come up. And any reference. And it's all, and every reference, every time it's come up this week, all three times it's come up was because it was about healing and lightening up your energy. And so that's what it's been about this past week. So for you to say that, I was like, they're playing with you too. They're trying to get you.
I mean, then that's the thing, is like, as I become my person, my Shiva, it's like, I just get the notes a lot more clearly, you know? And I try to grab them from everywhere and not be closed off from it and be like, well, that's crazy. Why wouldn't that be spiritual? Like, they have no other way to talk to you, you know? You can use everything to get your messages, and you should. So that's how I try to live. I just feel like I'm a completely different person, and sometimes I'm like, what happened?
A whole bunch of crap happened. That's what, a whole bunch of craziness happened. You want to read the next one?
A miracle is never lost. It touches many people you may not even know, and sometimes produces undreamed of changes and forces of which you are not even aware. This is not your concern. The miracle will also bless you. This is not your concern either, but it is the concern of the record, which always measures what it was supposed to measure. I want to finish I want to finish the instructions about sex, because this is an area with which the miracle worker must understand. Inappropriate sex drives or misdirected miracle impulses result in guilt if expressed and depression if denied. We said before that all real pleasure comes from doing God's will. Whenever it is not done, an experience of lack results. This is because not doing the will of God is a lack of self. And the 350,000 notes follow.
Yeah.
Sex was intended as an instrument for physical creation to enable souls to embark on new chapters in their experience and thus improve their records. So I guess just like what you were just saying about me and Kayla. The pencil was not an end in itself. Oh, I guess, did I skip one?
No,
did she already talk about the pencil? Oh, okay. Because I know she talked about sharpening pencils in a couple before.
Yeah.
It was an aid to the artist in his own creative endeavors, as he made new homes for souls and guided them through the periods of their own developmental readiness. He learned the role of the Father himself. The whole process was set up as a learning experience in gaining grace. So that's
what's up.
What?
Yeah, what's up?
2, 3, 4.
So what
But yeah, that's like what you were just saying.
She's talking about like two separate things right there at the same time. So what do you garner from that?
Well, I kind of feel like it sort of just like goes like right back to what you were saying about how I was feeling guilty for being impulsive and doing all my sexing, and came out with these seedlings that I now have to nourish and grow. But in doing this work, I just realized that like these people don't belong to me. They're just for me to help them on their journey. And that's why I'm like, well, let me see what's in this person's chart. What are you supposed to be doing? Maybe I'll help you get on your way, you know, as opposed to, and not to hate on my parents, but like they could have taught me what they did. Cause like, I'm like, y'all are doing numerology and astrology, but nobody is teaching the person who might need to know this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so, I mean, I feel like we all need to be paying attention to what comes out of our experiences. Like, especially when you have kids, like pay attention to them and try to nurse them instead of control them and fit them into boxes.
What I put down was, so a miracle is never lost. It touches many people you may not even know, and sometimes produces undreamt of changes and forces of which you are not even aware. What I wrote was, controlling the effect of the synchronicities and alignments is not your responsibility or focus. You'll receive benefits from synchronicities and alignments, as will others. This is the work of all of creation and not the individual. Synchronous and alignment-based work and sexual experiences do not cause guilt, depression, or a sense of lack. True pleasure, not limited pleasure, true pleasure in this form is only experienced as a byproduct of intent by creation and not the individual. So let me read that again, 'cause that's my own damn note, and I don't even know what the hell I was thinking when I wrote that. So, synchronous and alignment-based work and sexual experience do not cause guilt, depression, or a sense of lack. True pleasure, not limited pleasure, true pleasure in this form is only experienced as a byproduct of intent by creation and not the individual. In other words, when we, like, and I think this comes down to sex. Let's use sex as an example, because when people have sex with each other, they automatically feel gratification through the physical sensations of the body, etc. Sometimes with the emotional connections there, but usually it's just physical sensations that are the basis of the sense of joy or pleasure. But true pleasure, what we understand now as true pleasure based off of reading the Course in Miracles, is that true pleasure actually comes from a unity with source beingness. And so sometimes we get that opportunity through experiences like sex, through experiences like having a child through birth, through experiences like, you know, being with someone when they're dying. We have these moments and these experiences where we have a merging of our energies with each other. And when we have those mergings of our energy and then we engage in some sort of physical exchange, there is a true pleasure that is experienced there, not because of the physical activity, but because of the ability of connection and how that spills over into the physical activity with the other person or the individuals, etc. And so when we are being aligned with the rest of creation and we have a moment of passion with someone and it was just so amazingly enjoyable, it's not because, oh, they were a good lover, or because, you know, oh, because, you know, this was good sex or whatever. It's because there was a moment of unity between those individuals with source engaged in that process versus just someone mentally getting off having a physical interaction with someone and it's just physical, it's only surface level. And so that is just a momentary, very limited way of connection, and it's not going to give you the full immensity of joy or pleasure. And actually a lot of people who have just that kind of sex, it's just physical sex, it's just a physical activity that doesn't necessarily do much except give you a very short sampling of pleasure, but it isn't true pleasure because source is not even engaged with that process. We're not even engaging with all of creation in that process. We're just in the moment trying to support a limited perspective of feeling and beingness through the physical act and sensations. So that's what I was thinking when I wrote that. So sex is a tool of creation to allow for the expression of source within form, using each expression as using each expression as an opportunity to improve or advance the agenda of the soul. It is an opportunity for the receiving by creation. All sexual experiences based in synchronous alignments advance the agenda of source and evolve the state of being, which is resolved from the experience. The idea of sex as the epitome of pleasure is an error that is shared by the collective. The reliability of the physical pleasure only exists because of this shared error in awareness of pleasure and what is available to form. Awareness of this error causes people to feel guilty in the misuse of the experience. Denial, that is the error, causes people to produce a perspective which supports further the existence of lack and fear. Because of our limited ability to experience alignment and synchronicities with creation. Acknowledging the error allows for the release of the need to only use this tool as the epitome of pleasure. It enables the shift in understanding and awareness of grander forms of pleasure within and apart of form being. So if people just understand that, physical sex is just sex, it's a tool for the allowance of an exchange of energy, and they use it as such, they will gain more a sense of pleasure than they were able to before. If people just let sex be, it's a physical biological function. So if you're just getting off and that's it, then that's it. That's all there is. That's all that will ever be. It won't be beyond that or more than that. So for us to place value on that intimacy being an epitome is just going to cause us to continue to form other relationships based on empty forms of connection. And it becomes the norm and the trend, which is why we all suffer from the same idea and concept around that. So it's that pain. So, to make it more than that is just going to set you up for more experiences of building something up that isn't really needing to be built up because it's a biological function, so it's a moment of whatever. But when we come together and there's like intensity and passion there's way more going on than just a moment of like getting off and that's it.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that for Scorpio season that folks should be using their sex magic. And do what you gotta do. But of course, I have to participate by myself. But I guess whenever you're intentional with it, it's sort of like what she's maybe saying, but I doubt that they're go participate in sex.
If you think, we're physical human beings and we have desires and needs, hunger being one of them, an emotional expression being another, the desire for connection or contact with other people, touch, we have these desires and needs as physical beings, and we can train ourselves to not need those physical basic elemental things that come with having a physical body. But you're robbing yourself of a human experience, and we are still here to be human. And so I think that if anything, if you're going to enjoy and embellish your physical beingness, then enjoy it as much as you can. So for people you want to have sex. No one's telling you not to have sex. No one's telling you shouldn't masturbate. Nobody's just telling you can't eat. Enjoy whatever you can enjoy in this physical form, because once we're in spirit form, we're gonna be like, oh crap, I should have really gotten the most out of, And so let yourself be human, but don't overemphasize those basic human elemental things beyond what they are, which they're just basic human, physical things. It isn't the epitome of anything. So just because you can have a lot of sex or just because you can do a lot of this or whatever doesn't mean that that there's more value in it for you, or that you're going to get more from your life because of it. It's just a physical thing. And I think that we make it too much.
Yeah, there's so much emphasis based on it. It's really, and then just as a child of sexual abuse, it just puts so much on it as an adult, because when I realized that I have PTSD and I was struggling to have consensual sex with somebody that I chose to be with, I was like, okay, this is a real problem, because I was panicked. And I was like, but this is not that. This person is not my assailant who assaulted me any of the times that I've been assaulted. So like, I need to heal that. And I think that was like the moment that I really began to unlock myself, because I was like, it is okay to be with somebody else. It's not scary, and it's not bad, and it doesn't hurt, you know? So, yeah. And I think people need to leave kids alone.
Oh yeah. And I think, I that is just such a complex, like, issue to have to deal with, just because, you know, it's like, you can punish the people who do it, but at the end of the day, like, it is a personal choice each person is making, and they want to break the cycle. They have to choose to break the cycle, and they need to be the first person to stop it in its tracks. So Top Dog is saying something. He says, sometimes the sexual experience is so powerful, it allows others to experience feeling when they have been closed off because of external circumstances. That's when that exchange is the most rewarding, when you can touch someone on a soul level. But it isn't, and that's what we've been reading, is that, you know, there is a deeper connection that happens in those moments, in those types of situations, but it's still limited. It's almost like, I can see the sky, look how beautiful it is. Oh my God, I've never seen the sky before, but you're staring into a mirror or into a pool of water on the ground, thinking that you're staring up at the sky, but you're staring still at a reflection. Sex is still a very limited way of connecting. For some people, it is going to be a very intense and emotional experience. And yes, I agree with you in some ways where, you know, it can allow you to kind of align and bond in a very unique way that some people aren't able to. And it's almost like a releasing of the being inhibited, etc. Like for me, you know, having CBD oil or vaping sometimes, etc. Those have been experiences that have allowed me to be more, not only self-aware, but also just allow myself to be without trying to enforce the constructed, conditioned versions of myself and putting that out into the world. And so those have been tools that have assisted me in allowing myself to fully express uninhibitedly and not inhibiting myself. Sex can be the same thing for people. So yeah, I agree with you in that way. But I also think for some people, they see it as the epitome of, and don't see anything beyond that. And then they get stuck and locked into that being the reality and the only reality. And then they start this loop of like, I'm not living a full life. I'm not feeling fully connected. I don't feel. And so there's a limitation that begins to become the norm there. So.
And creates sometimes sex addiction and addiction to romantic attachments to people who give them that kind of sex.
Yeah, like if people become, a lot of people have too much of a preoccupation with sex, and sex is just sex. It's just a physical like thing, for the most part. Like in its truest form, it's just a biological function. But like if someone is becoming, if they are not having those emotional experiences, those experiences where there's this true connection, like what Top Dog is saying. If someone isn't having those kinds of moments and it's just a physical thing, like I said, there's something wrong with that. But if you find yourself only depending and relying on those things, you'd be better off just like masturbating on a regular basis and just taking care of the biological function so that you don't spend too much time or energy obsessing over something that is not going to give you or grant you more joy and more happiness and bring you more awareness or connection with source. Just deal with the biological you and then move on to the next thing.
Right, because literally going outside to meditate or sun gaze can bring you as much pleasure.
Yeah, that too, or coloring in a coloring book, or you know, like watching a film that, you know, brings you understanding about something. I mean, it can be a lot of different things. But if it's becoming an obsessive thing where you just only are finding it through that, that's an issue, because you're basically that you've created a block, and the block isn't going to allow you to connect beyond that ability.
Yeah.
All right, girl, I think we're done. So do you want to say any final words before we end up here? We wrap up here?
Don't kill anybody, y'all. Keep it cute.
Yeah.
That's about it.
All right, y'all. Well, I will be back on Friday for the study group, the Many Lives, Many Masters study group next week. So y'all understand, Michelle and I are taking the week off from the study group, and I'm not doing any lives next week as far as like readings and stuff. I made the mistake of like scheduling myself to work the day after the election, which was probably not a good idea. So I just have to focus on that without being too emotionally disrupted to do that. And so all of my energy is just focused on maintaining my work schedule next week. So I'm not doing any like, the lives for the readings next week, nor am I doing the study group next week. And we're not doing the podcast recording next week either, just because we're taking the week off to deal with all the election stuff and focus on that and maintain. I'm just going to try to maintain next week. Regardless, it doesn't matter what happens. It's just going to, it doesn't matter because it's going to be a shit show regardless. So I just need to be able to deal with that and get through my work day. So,
yeah. If you need me, though, I'll be over here.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks with our study group. So until then, y'all, take care. We love y'all and talk to y'all then.